Every position that the right holds has been presented as violence, including silence, by the way. I know there's a poster behind Joe Walsh right next to his No Kings poster. In other words, if you're pro-life, it's violence against women. If you're against men and women's sports, it's violence against trans, it's genocide, it's erasing them. If you're against Juneteenth as a holiday, it's violence. You're pro-First Amendment, violence because you're inciting violence. You're pro-Second Amendment, violence because you believe people should be able to commit gun violence. And then if we remain silent, that's also violence. And so people deal with the right with violence. Here's my challenge. Find me one example of a Charlie Kirk on the left, not an elected official. I'll allow any speaker, any comedian this century, one example of somebody who was murdered, assassinated, hemorrhaged out in front of his family in cold blood and gleefully celebrated thereafter. And the polls show that a majority, according to YouGov recently, of Democrats think it's somewhat too acceptable. 38%, 77% of Republicans said not acceptable at all.
Okay, let Joe
respond. What I'm saying is that Charlie Kirk was hunted. He was hunted. We are being hunted. And I don't want to see any more dead friends. Violence, absolutely. Lawful, ruthless, defensive violence.
Okay, Joe.
Pierce, I'll just be brief again. The data is pretty clear, and historically it's been pretty clear that there's political violence on the right and the left in this country for years. And I could argue, and I would argue, but I won't here, that there's historically been more political violence coming from the right. But
see what I mean? This is always the left to blame somebody else. That's not even the point. The man is dead. The point is that Crowder is asking you point blank, is there a representative on the left that has been assassinated in the same way and made fun of, and his family made fun of after his death to the same degree? The answer is no. This guy responds by saying, oh, there's always been violence on the right. That's how the left works. They're using a lie to cover up their true nature, which is murder. We looked at a clip earlier here today with Piers Morgan and another radical leftist that was just trying to say Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. We have to wait for the president to decide what we should feel about these people are using lies consistently to cover up what they're doing, what they say, and quite frankly, I'm tired of it.
Nice to say, I think you and I, Pierce, would agree. There's a history of. Hey, Stephen, let me finish, man, please.
Please argue it. You can't just make a vague claim and not substantiate it.
Pierce, you and I would agree, for the sake of this conversation, that political violence is in fact a both sides problem. Stephen, you would acknowledge, I think, that there is political violence and there has been political violence on the right as well. So why don't we all just condemn it all? That's what we all should do.
Yeah, Steve? No, I don't. I don't agree with the premise. And I'm having to agree with a nebulous premise because you presented no facts. The very source that you cite, and by the way, I'll make all of mine publicly available. Hold on, I'm finishing now. Let's do it like grown-ups. You can cite your sources online. George Floyd riots, not included. Darrell Brooks, Waukesha, not included. Antifa, not included. Man shot dead for voting Trump, not included. Those numbers are not to be trusted, and neither is someone parroting it. I'll answer your question if you answer one of mine after. Go ahead, please.
Melissa Hortman, the Democratic state legislator in Minnesota, 3 months ago, gunned down by an anti-abortion Trump supporter. Yes or no?
Wrong. How do I know? Because Vance Bolter, the man who did it, wrote in his letter that it had nothing to do with Trump or being pro-life. He blamed Tim Walz. And here's what you also don't see. Did you see anyone at the Hortman's funerals or vigils spitting on them? Or pantomiming being shot in the neck? Did you see anyone celebrating the death of them gleefully?
Yes.
Did you see so many professors doing so, showing children a snuff? Really? Point me to one.
Yes.
Point me to one person spitting at their vigil. Let me guess, you're going to go to Mike Lee?
Utah Senator
How do I predict
Mike
everything
Lee
you say all the time?
How? Donald Trump.
He didn't mock the attack.
But let me jump in.
Anyone spit at the
Stephen,
vigil?
let me jump in.
Celebrate the
Stephen,
murder?
let me give you an example.
Pierce, I don't.
Hang on.
Go ahead. Pierce.
Hang on. I would give an example where the right behaved very badly, and that was over the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. I saw the gleeful responses after that from the right, the memes, the mockery, and so on. I thought that was very distasteful. Would you agree, Steve?
If you want to argue an equivalency between a man getting
I'm not
hit with a
asking
hammer in his
equivalency.
underwear
I'm not saying
and a
equivalent.
man bleeding out in front of his child,
I'm not
go
saying
ahead.
they're equivocal. I'm just saying it's an example where I felt people on the right showed a complete lack of humanity towards the man who'd been attacked because he happened to be married to Nancy Pelosi, a political opponent. And so it's not like this never. It's not like this has never happened.
I don't agree. I don't think it's even remotely proportional. Let me ask a question here. This is why I'm giving this message, and this is why I hope people listen and protect their own. Joe Walsh, you're there. Since I answered your question, you're there, Utah, in the crowd. It's not a Mouser. It's not a 30-06. But it's a man winding up a milkshake for Charlie Kirk. We don't know if it's strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, acid, or concrete. Do you stop him? Do you hurt him? That hesitation tells me that you are not amongst us.
Hey,
and cowards are dangerous to have in their ranks.
Stephen,
because it's not a hypothetical. It's happened.
Let me answer your question.
Do you stop him? Do you hurt him?
I don't understand your question. I'm sorry. I honestly, I don't.
Someone winding up a milkshake to launch at Charlie Kirk. You don't know if it's strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, acid, or concrete. You see him before anyone else does. Do you stop him and hurt him?
Yes. I certainly stop him. I do all I can to stop him. Yes.
Good. There's a start. That's what I'm advocating. Every single person out there, because we have been living with this shadow over us. And I know, look, here's the thing too, Joe. I understand your rhetoric. I understand where you're coming from. And I know that you met Charlie when he was 16, as I understand it, right? He was very, very young. And I understand that maybe you were somewhat of a mentor figure. It's because of the failure of Republicans like you that me and Charlie Kirk exist, who are willing to take back the territory that has been conceded, and we are willing to pay with our lives. We shouldn't have to be. Academia, media, the press, big tech shouldn't be dominated by the left exclusively all the time. Charlie Kirk shouldn't be out there alone, sitting in that chair, taking on all comers. He shouldn't be inspired by people like me, who are comedians. He should have been inspired by people like you. Instead, he was inspired to go the other way. Maybe that's why he said he sold his soul for Donald Trump before the body was cold. Still want to do the no true Scotsman holier than thou thing?
And Stephen, I'm assuming you would do the same, correct? If somebody were throwing a chocolate milkshake at a left-wing speaker, correct?
No, the reason I bring it up is because we didn't. We didn't,
but
and I've had them launched at me.
Would you, Stephen?
And the reason,
would you?
No, I didn't. Would you? And now I would. Now I would. Because now I would. Yes. Have I answered your question? Yes. Now I would, and I advocate that everybody else do the same by any means necessary.
So Stephen, common ground. You and I, two Americans, would both stop any politically violent attack on any public figure or speaker that we saw. You and I agree to that. And you and I hope, would both agree that we should condemn all political violence. End of story.
I am condemning, of course, all political violence. It is coming from one side, and the prescription is ruthless, aggressive.
Yeah, I don't believe Joe for a second that guy would try to stop any kind of violence against Charlie Kirk. And again, this guy tried to say we're both decent Americans or whatever. This guy isn't a decent American. He's a liar, and he's a fraud, and he's a coward. And I'm happy that Steven Crowder put this out because, let's face it, the left is not playing by any rules. They reinvent the rules, eh? That's why they're ahead of the game, and they never will stop. The fact of the matter is that if you're going to go out there in any of these realms, let's say in the university or anywhere you try to re-educate or speak to people, it's a very real threat you're going to face. And people are not daring and people are not courageous. Charlie Kirk was both of those things, and let's say that specific individual, that kind of special personality to engage, I'm sure he was afraid for his life to some degree, but that wasn't enough for him to stop. And to be frank, I know that what I know about his character is that he loved debating. Charlie Kirk loved debating. He loved it, and I don't think for a second that he was doing his job and he loved his job, and that's what brought him to the campus. If he didn't love his job, I don't think he would continue doing it. He had a beautiful family, a small daughter, a small son, beautiful wife. And what can I say? He was already rich, I might say, like that. And he didn't have to. He could have retired early. He could have committed himself to the organization, to doing things quietly from the shadows, but he didn't. He stood up and he was destroyed. So, and his family had to witness it. And Crowder is 100% correct. We're not the ones instigating violence. We're not the ones on the right trying to formulate how to assassinate the left. You know why? There isn't anybody that the left can follow that is honorable like Charlie Kirk was. That I can say with certainty, this individual I admire and respect a lot. I haven't seen it. They all belong to conservative people. Who amongst the left is going to stand up now and say, Kamala Harris, you tell me. Lefties, Don Lemon, that guy that got fired recently, these people are the mouthpiece of the leftist machine, the swamp, as everybody knows, and there's nothing redeemable about them. Let them be kicked out of positions where they hold any kind of voice or anything, anything substantial. Jimmy Kimmel is the one I was thinking of. I've watched that loser on TV for years, and I wish that his program was canceled sooner, like 10 years ago even. He was such a loser, and every time he would come in, and it's for me, it's unwatchable. It's unwatchable. He's such a snake, such a creep to me. This guy too, this guy Joe Walsh. You get the sense that these people their brains are only about 10% active, or less. They are not thinking like normal people think. They're just, it's a facade. It's all fake. There's nothing true about what the guys say. Nothing out of his mouth is true. That's how you can identify the left right away. Everything out of their mouths is lies. And you can verify what he says. You can go back and you can see why Crowder was angry with him. This guy told Crowder that they discovered that there was writing on the bullet casings and whatnot. And he said, no, that's a lie. And then that Crowder claimed that they're on the left. The shooter was on the left and had a transgender boyfriend or transitioning boyfriend. They refuted. He said, no, these people are just I like that Crowder said, you are not like us. That's right. Because these guys, the woke are the ones who are asleep. That really, when you think about it, it's the perfect inverse name for them. They're asleep. They're sleeping. The left are you might even say they're in a dream state or something like that. They're 100% indoctrinated and they're just sleeping. Their bodies seem to be awake, but their minds are asleep. You know what I mean? It's just like the Matrix. What did Andrew Tate say? These people have nothing to do with liberty or defending a country or standing up against violence that killed Charlie Kirk or justice or any of those things. Conservatives stand for that kind of honorable thing. I look for people who want to stand up for the truth. There's so many people out there that stand up as long as they can get food for a day, they bring home their paychecks, that nothing else matters. As long as they continue through another day. Those people will never see the greatness that Charlie Kirk accomplished in his life at a young age. 31 already, look what that guy accomplished. Even Crowder admitted it. Nobody was better at organizing and putting together those events. He was such a strong person. Hate him or like him, it doesn't matter. But even so, if you don't like him, there's a lot of people that admired that man and said that he touched their lives and everything. Like, you cannot deny that. Who on the left can you say had that same impact? That's the question that Steven Crowder is asking. Number one, who had the same impact on people's lives on the left? And secondly, did the right go to their funeral and spit on them and desecrate their grave and whatnot, and desecrate and make fun of his wife and insult them, while the family, they haven't even buried him yet, to my knowledge. She just posted the body, the casket, the wife of Charlie Kirk, and there are people that were making fun of it. They were insulting her. It's disgraceful. Charlie was able to bring out the extremes of people. I think it's amazing. I had no idea that man had touched so many lives, so many people angered by his death, so many people that want to hate him. It's amazing. It's amazing. There are people dancing in the streets for his death. They were celebrating, I think on TMZ, they were celebrating that he died, and then they tried to lie and say that they were watching a car chase. There's so many things. I couldn't believe it. This guy, you can say that he's a true hero because there's so much like polarization around him. There's a lot of extremes that came out as a result. That means he touched so many lives. Those people unconsciously that hate him, they hate him because unconsciously he touched their lives somehow. There's something that was wrong with them inside that they know it, and they try to fight it hard. They want to belong to a lesser destiny or character, you might say. They belong to a lesser version of themselves. No matter what anybody says, I believe that Charlie Kirk inspired or tried to inspire the highest good in the peaceful way that he could. There was a lot of people that came on his show, on his booth, and they debate him, and they were very, very, very incendiary, very aggressive, very rude. Call them, it's not our place to judge, but it doesn't matter. That's the way that they objectively behaved, in a very threatening, very rude, very callous manner. And Charlie was just, very cordial. It's okay, and he tried to negotiate with him in a very peaceful, methodical, de-escalate the situation kind of way. Charlie, that's how he is. We've seen it on TikTok, unless you've been living on the moon. Everybody can see his work. You can see how he debate people very, very carefully, very careful how he chooses words, everything, and try to de-escalate if there's somebody in the crowd, or they just get rid of that person, the next person on the mic. It very simple how he dealt with it, and he was very good at dealing with them. There's nothing more to say. But I am 100% with Steven because so few of us get to be in that position where you can interview people in that same way that Kirk did. And we all know Steven Crowder as a comedian, as a political representative for himself, for his ideas. He did that Change My Mind thing. I watched a lot of his videos too. They know firsthand the danger you face in that position. And that's what he's saying. He's asking these people to protect themselves should they stand up. Because, of course, if you can prevent your own death, that's rule number one. I can see that the death of Charlie Kirk has really had a tremendous impact on Steven. I don't want to say it radicalized him, but maybe it did, and rightly so, because the man is dead, and it could have been Steve. Any one of those times that he was attacked. So, why would he not advocate violence? It's not even violence, really. It's protection violence. Protect your lives very, very seriously now. That's what Steven Crowder is trying to say. protect your lives by any means necessary. That's what he's saying. You have to, as a conservative, you have to watch your back with like 10 eyes. So that's it. That's the conclusion of the video. Please like and subscribe if you like my channel, and please help me grow. I don't know if YouTube is trying to shadow ban me. I don't know. Nobody is viewing it, so let's see how it goes from here. Thank you.